In 1996, Nintendo busted out what was, at the time, the best game ever. It was groundbreaking, showing everyone how exactly you make a game in 3D. We wouldn't see another entry in the main Mario series until about 6 years later, half a year after the release of the GameCube. Obviously, with the third dimension already well established by now, Nintendo decided to simply elaborate on the already existing formula instead of trying something totally new. That's pretty much what this console generation was all about, making the old ideas better, making them look better, play better. This was an era about polish rather than innovation. What they came up with was Super Mario Sunshine, a game that takes Mario 64's gameplay and refines it while shaking up the formula a little bit. This is the Mario game I most extensively grew up with because the GameCube was the console I had for the grand majority of my childhood. I think I was about like 7 or 8 when I got mine, so for the better half of elementary school, I was just playing GameCube games, and because of that, this was my go-to platforming game at the time. Now these days I see a lot of people seem to have pretty mixed opinions on this game, but unlike 64, last time I played through this game was only like 2 years ago, but even still, I'm going to give it a brand new, fresh playthrough with an open mind so I can give it a completely unbiased look.
Super Mario Sunshine! Woohoo!
This is probably the closest thing to a real plot any Mario game has ever had. Mario, Peach, Toadsworth, and the boys head out to Delfino Island, a tropical resort for their vacation. However, upon arrival, Mario is framed for crimes he didn't commit, polluting the island with a paint-like sludge, defiling the place with graffiti, and making the island's power source, the Shine Sprites, flee the Shine Gate. This removes sunshine from the island, plunging it into darkness. Before very long, we're introduced to this character using Mario's likeness to cause havoc, trying to get the poor plumber sent to prison. Shadow Mario, oh my god, he looks badass, dude. I always thought he looked cool as hell because he's not the typical evil version of the main character. No, he's a little bit different. He's more like a doppelganger forged from the very paint that he uses to coat the island with. So instead of earning Mario jail time, he's instead sentenced to cleaning up the island, which does work in his interest because it also means pursuing the real bad guy in the process. It's kind of refreshing to have somewhat of an arc here, you know. Our goal from the very beginning is not to rescue Peach, but instead to clear Mario's name. There's actually events leading up to Peach's kidnapping for once, and I think it gives you more reason to want to play on. You know, not just to get Peach back, but to also figure out who this fricker is, and to get him to stop dragging Mario's name through the mud.
I found you, faker!
So, spoilers, I guess. Skip here if you don't want to hear them. I know it's a Mario game, but there is going to be that one angry guy in the comments if I don't do this, so here it is. Okay, so it turns out to be Bowser Jr., making his debut in the Mario series for the very first time as this game's main villain. He kidnapped Peach under the pretense that Bowser tricked him into thinking that Peach is his mother, and that Mario is the one trying to kidnap her from them. But of course, in the end, he figures out that she's not really his mom because, well, you know, that doesn't make any sense at all. But to Bowser's surprise, Jr.'s willing to put that aside as a motive in favor of simply wanting to beat Mario just to prove that he can really do it. Because, you know, getting stomped all over by the red dude, well, that didn't sit well with Jr.
Someday, when I'm bigger, I wanna fight that Mario again.
It kinda is really unexpected to see this kind of character development coming from a Mario game, and it's an interesting attempt at telling a story. They never tried anything like this ever again, which, you know, isn't really something you need in a Mario game, but it was fun to watch them take a stab at it for once, and it easily sets up this new character's ambition for all future titles. You know, Bowser wants the princess, and Jr. just wants to beat Mario, keeping it sweet and simple. Giving this game fully voice-acted cutscenes was a little bit of a weird move, but that's probably because it's the only Mario game that ever did that, so it kinda sticks out. They could have at least had a better audio mix, though. I find the dialogue tracks are a little bit too quiet and can sometimes be hard to hear over the music.
We'll know if you start slacking off.
So here we are at the beginning of the game. Instead of the open field in front of Peach's castle, we find ourselves on an airstrip. It's not quite as open, but it still does the job of giving the player the space to figure out the controls and whatnot. We've got trees to test climbing, water to test swimming, and a long stretch of land to see what Mario's got for a moveset this time around. Returning from 64, we've got the triple jump, the side somersault, the ground pound, and the dive. This time, however, you can continuously press the B button to string out multiple dives, hopping Mario along. Strangely enough though, the long jump is absent from Sunshine. Really weird choice, I think. It's easily one of the most iconic and helpful moves. Mario does have a couple of new tricks in its place though. We've got the spin jump, which is the highest jump Mario can execute other than the triple jump, and is great for spanning long distances since it propels you with a good amount of force while slowing your descent. Pulling these moves off feels so much tighter and precise than in Mario 64. Part of it is because of the GameCube's oh so wonderful control stick, but also with better hardware they were simply able to make the controls a lot more precise. I mean, look just how easy it is for me to execute a spin jump. You hardly need any space because Mario just responds so well. Side jumps too, you hardly need any room to execute them. Also, this ability to string together dives, oh, that gives you so much more control over Mario's body while keeping your momentum. The way he pops out of it feels really good too. Just look how easy it is for me to dive across these blocks with it. Oh, it feels so good. Out of every 3D Mario game, I gotta say, I honestly think Mario Sunshine has the best feeling controls. This is the Mario game where I feel most in control. Unlike 64, I rarely find myself missing more precise jumps, and a big part of that is because of the much better camera. Instead of those lousy C buttons, we've got a C stick, and that allows for full 360 analog control over the game's camera. It's really interesting how Nintendo figured out full analog for Mario's first 3D adventure, and they figured out the exact same for the camera in his second. Though what really separates Sunshine from the other games in the series, of course, is FLUDD, the Flash Liquidizer Ultra Dowsing Device. Wow, 15 years later and I still somehow remember that. Yeah, FLUDD is a water pump that also doubles as a jetpack. You'll use it to spray water, cleaning graffiti off of walls, dousing fires, clearing goop, attacking enemies, you know, all sorts of neat stuff. I always really dug how they handled how you handle this thing. Pushing the R button down a little bit will spray water, allowing you to still move around, but holding it down all the way will lock you into place, allowing you to aim. Additionally, you can also press the Y button to go into an over-the-shoulder view to improve your accuracy. Pressing the X button will switch over to the hover nozzle, which you can use to hover in the air for a short period of time. This is really helpful for getting to more out-of-the-way areas or for correcting small errors in your jumps. Part of me always thought this device removed a lot of the challenge from the game, but another part of me always loved how easy it makes it to better explore the environment around you. To combat my complaints though, there are a bunch of stages that you will need to finish without FLUDD. These will test your raw platforming skills, while you get to also listen to a pretty bumpin' acapella version of the Mario theme. I know nowadays you can listen to an acapella version of pretty much any video game song on YouTube, but back then, it was pretty rare you got to hear such a different version of a song you really liked. I remember having a really hard time with these levels as a kid. You know, when you rely on using FLUDD so much, it's difficult to actually get good at using Mario's other moves to their maximum potential, but man, oh man, it was so satisfying to finally beat one of these after trying so many times. Nowadays though, I can just tear through these effortlessly, and that kinda makes me wonder how I ever found them so dang hard. But you know, that's just me. Cool as frick, know the tricks. I really don't think these levels would be very doable with Mario 64's controls. These tight platforming sequences are really a testament to how well this game plays. Mario 64 felt a little clunky in a couple of areas, especially with that knockback animation it gave you if you didn't time a wall jump correctly. Now when you jump at a wall, you get this silky smooth sliding animation. Not only does it give you a larger window of time to respond, but it also lets you choose exactly where on the wall you want to jump off of. Best thing they've ever done for Mario's moveset in my opinion. They've kept this in every subsequent game, and that's for good reason. When you're not doing one of the linear platforming stages, you're following a pretty similar level pattern to Mario 64, exploring an open level, fulfilling an objective, and getting rewarded with a shine sprite. These are Sunshine's version of stars. There's 120 of them, and you'll collect them as you progress. Like Mario 64, Sunshine also has you in a hub world, accessing a variety of levels from it. This time, it's Delfino Plaza, the central city of Delfino Island. Instead of paintings, we find ourselves diving into graffiti that teleports us to a different part of the island. I find the levels to be much more consistently well structured this time. My biggest problem with Mario 64 was how many stages had you taking a linear path up a mountain and having to stop on a certain point of the path to get a star. The best levels in Mario 64 were the ones that were completely open and let you go in any direction to fulfill an objective. This time, they're all like that, maybe with the exception of Serena Beach, but I find that one to be interesting enough to get a pass anyway. Like 64, getting a shine sprite will boot you from the stage, but it's more forgivable this time since the stage is often set up a completely different way for each mission. For example, in Rico Harbor, you might have to climb the scaffolding to get to a boss, but in the next chapter, none of that scaffolding is even there. Instead, there's some bloopers you can surf on and do a race. The levels add brand new mechanics that help bring it all together. Tight ropes that link taller platforms, boats you can ride in, and underground sewer systems for alternate navigation. I gotta admit, I kinda do like Sunshine stages a little bit more than 64's. I think it hits that open world-ish vibe without feeling like you're doing a lot of stuff over and over again. The level design's a lot less cheap too. No more instant death traps and no more bottomless pits, with the exception of those before mentioned platforming challenges, but again, that's pretty forgivable because the objective in those is just to get to the end, so dying isn't going to make you lose anything more than just 20 seconds of jumping on stuff. One of the most common complaints I hear about this game is that it lacks theming. You know, Mario 64 had ice worlds, oceans, deserts, a lot of really different feeling locations. I hear a lot of people say that they're not really fond of this beach theme being a constant throughout the game. But you gotta understand that there's a lot more to theming than just the physical location. You could look at all of this as a bunch of beach levels, or you could realize that Mario Sunshine simply does theming in a much more organic and connected manner. Dude, there is plenty theming here. We've got a harbor level, an amusement park level, a jungle village level, a seaside ruins level. Hell, I mean, there's even a haunted hotel level, dude. This is absolutely theming. And that's because there's a lot more to theming than just the physical location, like what's going on in this location, what is here, what do people do here. It's not so much about the setting itself, but rather what you build within that setting, and that's why I think it's a little bit naive to say that Mario Sunshine doesn't do theming very well. I always loved how connected these areas feel. I mean, check out the view from Bianco Hills. You can see Pinna Park over there, Rico Harbor over here, even Delfino Plaza way back there. And from the top of the Ferris wheel in Pinna Park, you can see everything. The hotel, Gelato Beach, hey, there's the harbor, Corona Mountain. Oh, and those trees up there, I'm willing to bet that's Pianta Village. This is freaking rad, dude. How do people not appreciate this level of detail? I would take this organic connected world over a disjointed series of levels that all have nothing to do with each other any day of the week. I mean, to be totally honest, Mario's kinda recycled the same lousy themes over and over again for a while. Grass world, ice world, water world, desert world, yada yada yada. Half of Mario 64's levels are all like that. I think getting away from that and closer to something like this, I thought this was a freaking breath of fresh air. I mean, like the same thing goes for Super Mario World. I love that game's world because it feels so connected, while in Mario Bros. 3, none of the worlds have anything to do with each other, with the exception of the Sky World. You can see down there, like I was down there, that's cool. I'd love to have another Mario game where the world feels more connected like this. There's heavy use of non-conventional Mario enemies too. This has got to be the only Mario game in existence that doesn't have any Goombas. We're in a different part of the world after all, so it's a nice touch that they gave this place its own enemies. We've got different versions of existing enemies like the Electro Koopas, different looking boos, the digital Bob-ombs, and the different species of bloopers. Okay, I can't be the only guy who likes Mario Sunshine's blooper design more than the original design. I think it's really cool to see them with longer tentacles, making them more capable on land. They also have snouts that let them fire projectiles at Mario too. I think they look cooler, but their new designs give them more abilities. I really wish they'd bring them back sometime. Oh my god, there's some amazing details in this game too. The way the heat rises off the pavement has always been one one of my favorites. This was absolutely nuts for 2002. It really elaborates how this island feels. You really feel the heat beating down on you, and it gives the world a personality. And who's got more personality than the island's inhabitants? The Piantas. Oh my god, dude, I love these guys. Their balloonish, bouncy designs, and the way they go, no, when you spray them with water. And these stupid dances they do too, I love it. These guys gotta be the jolliest characters in the entire Mario series. Good lord, dude, I love them. They use the same base model for them all, but every single one has different clothes, different features. One might have a different hat, one might have glasses, one might have a mustache. They made every Pianta in the game look like an individual, and that's really cool. This was an era where you could really get away with copying and pasting the exact same model for every NPC, especially in a cartoon-looking game, but in Mario Sunshine, they put forth the effort to make every Pianta look like a different person. Oh dude, I completely forgot about this guy. He's out here stranded on this island because he can't swim. If you talk to him, he'll tell you that he's been trapped there for years. After you beat the game, he actually manages to get back to the shore in Delfino Plaza, but he just stands there staring at the island, wishing he could go back. Oh my god, dude, there's so much stuff like this tucked into the background of this game. This is the only Mario game until Odyssey that had this kind of thing, you know, all these connected characters and locations, but of course, this isn't really something you need to have in a Mario game. Mario games have always prioritized the raw gameplay and level design over something like world building, but either way, it is something that's really nice to have. These are details with such love and care put into them that it would be a crime to overlook them. I freaking love Mario Sunshine, even more than 64. It's really not that hard for me to admit that. I think the levels are more consistently good, I think the controls feel amazing, and the overall game design is inventive and exciting. However, while it does fix many problems 64 had, it unfortunately introduces new ones through a series of bizarre and arguably nonsensical game design choices. In Mario 64, every star was of equal value. It didn't matter which ones you got, as long as you reached a certain total, you could progress onward. This structure allows you to skip missions you don't really want to do in favor of ones you do want to do. It is hands down the best way you can structure a collectathon game, at least in my opinion. In Mario Sunshine, however, most areas are not unlocked by collecting a certain amount of shines, but rather by completing specific missions. Example, to open up Serena Beach, you gotta get Yoshi, and to unlock Yoshi, you need to clear episode 4 of Pinna Park, and unlike 64, where the levels typically had either every star or most stars available from mission 1, you can only get the shine you selected. You can't get anything else. And this is because, like I mentioned before, the levels are structured very differently depending on which mission you pick, and that's a great way to keep the game from feeling repetitive, but unfortunately, it sacrifices the structure that made 64 such a smooth experience. So if you want to clear Act 4, you'll have to clear Acts 1, then 2, and then 3 before you're able to do 4. The biggest offender here is that to unlock the final level, while you only needed to get 70 stars in 64, not mattering where you got those stars, here you have to clear mission 7 in every stage, and since you can't skip missions, you have to clear the first 7 missions of every single level. This means if there's one you get hung up on, you can't skip it like you could in any other Mario game. So then what's even the point in getting all of the other shine sprites? What's the point in getting that total up as much as you can if it doesn't actually impact your progression? Shine sprites are not of equal value, and that dampers your incentive to go for the mission 8 shines, the 100 coin shines, and the secret shines you can find either hidden in a stage or you can obtain by replaying a platforming challenge and collecting 8 red coins. Oh my god, why'd they have to do it this way? They should have tied your progression to the amount of shine sprites you have total and not which individual missions you have completed. If they did it that way, even if you still had to do all the missions in order, there still would have been a considerable amount of wiggle room to complete the game because of all of those alternative and secret shine sprites. And that's the thing. If they did it this way, those blue coins that everyone hates so much, those would have been the game's saving grace. Yeah, the blue coins. I knew you guys were probably waiting for me to bring these up, and yep, there is a reason I waited until now to talk about them. So basically, every level has 30 blue coins hidden within it. For every 10 you collect, you can trade them in for another shine sprite. I really do like hunting around for these blue coins. It gives you huge reason to explore every nook and cranny, creating excuses to try to figure out how to get Mario to the more out-of-the-way parts of the level. It encourages you to experiment with Mario's moveset and see where you can get this guy to go. But again, collecting these doesn't help you progress through the game. The only purpose there would be in collecting these would be if you're going for 100% completion, and well, that's the thing. Hunting for blue coins is only fun if you're not trying to find all of them. It's all fun and games until there's only 3 blue coins left in every level, and you can't find them, and you have no idea where they are, and you're wasting hours of your life looking for them to no avail. The worst part is that some blue coins are only available in select missions. Pianta Village, for example. There's blue coins you can get by cleaning these M's off the ground, but these M's only show up in the Goopy Inferno mission. If you didn't know that, you could be missing a single coin in the stage with no clue as to why you're not finding it, because there's nothing that tells you which blue coins are in which missions. What they needed to do is firstly, put in something that tells you how many blue coins remains in each mission, and secondly, some sort of radar, like the Relic Finder badge in A Hat in Time, or the Treasure Radar in Pikmin 2. There are ways to fix this, and if there's ever a remake of the game, it's one of the things I hope they'll rework. I mean, check out my file select screen. This one is from my previous playthrough a couple of years back, and this one is the one I did just now. There's a reason I didn't get the last couple of shine sprites, and that's because I could not find the last dozen or so blue coins. What's so insulting about these things is that if the game's progression was dictated by how many shines you had instead of which missions you completed, these blue coins would have created so much wiggle room. Imagine you can't beat the last couple of missions in a level, so you can make up for that by finding plenty of blue coins in the stage instead. It's an idea that could have been awesome if the game structure took advantage of it, and it's baffling that they didn't do it that way. Mario Sunshine is still one of my favorite Mario games. In fact, I even like it more than 64, but even I have to admit that 100%ing this game, that's a lot more irritating than it is fun, and this poor structure makes the game a lot less accessible to people who didn't grow up with it, and that's surely the reason why a lot of people say this is the hardest 3D Mario game. I do still really like this game though. I mean, like Mario 64, it too has a wonderful sense of mystery, yet they execute it in a really different and interesting way. Mario 64 had you wondering what the next part of the castle was gonna look like, but Mario Sunshine, you get all of the hub world all at once. So instead, the mystery doesn't come from what the next part of the hub world's gonna look like, but rather a series of mysterious objects that are scattered around on the hub world. Like, what the hell is this pineapple? What do I do with this? I can't ground pound it, I don't understand. How do I get this pineapple out of the pipe? What are these doors I keep finding? Where do these go? How do I get rid of them? What do I do with this yellow sludge? What is this? It's gotta be here for a reason, right? I gotta do something with it. How do I get up there? There's stuff up there. There's sludge I gotta clean off of. I'm clearly supposed to get up there. How do I do it? Instead of keeping areas of the hub world from you, it introduces you to things that are obvious you will at one point interact with. The question is, how? What will I obtain that'll let me deal with these things? It makes you really excited to learn what new moves Mario's gonna have. These come in the shape of 2 additional nozzles, the rocket nozzle and the turbo nozzle. The rocket nozzle ditches the jetpack in favor of a single blast, propelling Mario far up into the sky, lets you reach higher areas, and also helps navigate more vertical segments. The turbo nozzle, oh, this one's really cool, lets you blast off at great speeds, but unfortunately there isn't much practical use for it outside of unlocking a couple of areas in Delfino Plaza and doing one bonus stage with it. It's a really cool mechanic, I just wish it was utilized a lot more. Now, what makes these 2 nozzles so mysterious is that from the very beginning of the game, you know FLUDD's gonna have 2 more nozzles because they place these holograms of the other 2 boxes right in front of where you start. When I was a kid, I was so dead set on seeing what these nozzles were gonna be that I could not stop playing. And of course, there's also Yoshi. He was reduced to a cameo status in 64, but he makes a glorious glorious full return in Sunshine. His jumping is enhanced over Mario's with a much more powerful spin jump and that iconic flutter kick. Yoshi can spit fruit juice in this game, essentially being an equivalent of using Flood's spray nozzle, just like the Yoshi version, which has its own properties like getting rid of that yellow sludge and turning enemies into platforms. A lot of people say this is kinda really weird having Yoshi squirt fruit juice in this game, but like, I don't know, dude, it's not that much weirder than him turning enemies into eggs and farting them out. You know, if his stomach can do that to something, I don't think it's that far-fetched to say Yoshi's stomach can also turn fruit into fruit juice. In fact, that's a lot less weird when I really think about it. It's all about perspective, dude. You'll have to eat fruit to keep that juice meter up, though. Running out will have Yoshi vanish. You know, you can't have your ride run out of juice, right? You gotta fuel up to keep on going. You'll get to use Yoshi in a number of missions, and they get really creative with how. It could be practical, like using the juice to turn enemies into platforms, or having an element of puzzle, like getting an orange Yoshi to replace the missing Yoshi on the merry-go-round. I find the mission design itself can be remarkably interesting, like the chapter that takes Flood away and covers the entire level in lava, and is like, alright, get up there. I'm not gonna tell you how to get up there, you gotta figure it out, dude, go on. Oh buddy, it's missions like this that definitely highlight how brilliant Mario Sunshine can be with its variety. There isn't one perfect way to go about this. You could scour the connected walkways under the village that bring you to different parts of the level, or you could maybe, I don't know, climb up all the way to this treetop and spin jump off and pray that you make it. There's tons of different ways you can get up to Flood. The shortest of ways reward the players for having the skill to execute them. Ricco Harbor is another excellent example. You could try to get over this wall, or you could take it up to the metal walkways, maybe work your way through the metal fencing area. There's always plenty of ways to your objective. You don't just feel in total control of Mario, you always feel in total control of how you go about the mission. The level design here is not only brilliant, but it's consistently interesting. They're never afraid to change things up, having something feel radically different than what you were doing moments ago. My favorite level is Serena Beach. It starts up with this grand battle against giant manta ray enemies, a total war zone, Mario and Flood making up a one-man army. The next mission has you going inside the hotel, and it's filled with ghosts. You spray them with water to create platforms and jump on them to get up to the bonus stage. The next mission has the hotel open up even more, having you think of all these clever ways to get into each hotel room, exploring the air ducts, going through paintings, ground pounding through hidden floor tiles, solving a series of micro mysteries. The next mission opens up the casino, having you go in there and squirt these panels that are really... Okay, yeah, this one's just annoying. I don't like this one at all. Okay, so they throw so many different things at you, but it doesn't always work. Sometimes it's awesome, but other times it can just be frustrating. Like this mission where you have to ride a roller coaster and shoot rockets at giant balloons. If you don't pop all 20 by the third lap, you gotta start all over. It is so stressful. And let's not forget the one where you have to get this giant watermelon to the juicer. Getting it past the cataquacks is a little bit annoying, but the physics of the melon itself are really jank, and it's way too easy to accidentally destroy it. I mean, putting Mario in a giant pachinko machine for 8 red coins, well, that sounds fun, until you combine that with some horrible level design involving a bunch of trigger zones that completely overwrite Mario's momentum and accelerate him to speeds that you have no control over, giving you these completely broken and bonkers physics for this one level. You ever play a Sonic game and you hit a certain part of a loop real slow and he just goes for it completely against the laws of physics? That's because there is a certain trigger zone that sets his speed and momentum to a certain value so he can make the loop. That doesn't work in Mario because I need accurate controls. I need to make an accurate landing so I don't die. When you accelerate Mario in a direction I have little to no control over, I can't do that, and that's why the stage sucks my big butt. Mario Sunshine's a game with a lot of fantastic, fresh, and brilliant ideas, but every now and then there's one that doesn't work so well, and it's all tied together with an eyebrow-raising structure that completely betrays what made Mario 64's structure so dang good. The controls are fantastic, the level design is killer, and the presentation is awesome, but there's a lot of sore moments here. It's still a great game, don't get me wrong, but there is a lot that could have been done here to make the experience experience more consistently enjoyable. On the other hand, I always found it to be the most mysterious Mario game. There were a lot of things in this game that made my imagination go crazy, like finding that book in Noki Bay. I always wanted to find some way to get it, or how the original ending card shows 2 Piantissimo finding Junior's paintbrush. Even as a kid, I made the connection how his animations were copied over from Shadow Mario, so I thought there was some hidden post-game thing where he became Shadow Mario or something like that. Oh man, I remember having so many dreams about finding that fabled 121st Shine Sprite. The one I remember most specifically was the one where I stood right here in this light and I sprayed above this dolphin statue, a lot like the secret Shine Sprite in Pianta Village. I remember one time my friend Dylan convinced me you could get the secret Shine Sprite by pushing this dolphin into the wall. I remember looking at my file and it was already pushed in, so I thought, oh, maybe I missed it, or maybe I already got it and I forgot. So cool with the use of dolphins in this game too, alluding to the GameCube's codename. I do still really love this game though. I think it's a fantastic Mario game, but I do completely understand those who aren't a fan because of the problems it does unfortunately have. Oh man, I just wish they'd remake this game already, and I don't mean just a graphical facelift, I mean going back and restructuring everything that didn't work in favor of stuff that works a lot better. I mean, they did that with Wind Waker HD, right? That went from my least favorite 3D Zelda to my second favorite. I want Nintendo to do for others with Sunshine what they did for me with Wind Waker. I want people to love this game, and I think remaking it would be a great way to do that. Actually, come to think of it, there was a 3D Mario game that did get a full-on remake. Oh, what, you thought we were talking about Galaxy next? No, dude, there's a reason I didn't bring this up in the 64 video, and that's because I want to give it a thorough look instead of just brushing past it in a short segment. So, I'll see you guys next time with a thorough review of Super Mario 64 DS. Catch you guys then.